The Marvel Cinematic Universe has created some of the greatest villains out there. Although they have to be powerful and strong, some of them are just a bit better than other villains. Today, we're going to show you top 10 villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that from our perspective deserve a spot on this list as one of the best villains in the entire MCU. So without further ado, let's get started. Number 10. ULTRON.
I'm sorry, I know you mean well. You just didn't think it through. You want to protect the world, but you don't want it to change.
After a great idea by Iron Man to create robots in order to help them tackle all the threats, he and Banner managed to use the Mind Stone to create an AI that could help out. Being a mix of both Tony Stark and Bruce Banner's intelligence, there was no doubt that this robot was going to be really smart. But what they didn't expect was that he could decide that the best way to end all threats to the Earth is to destroy humanity. With his form constantly changing and upgrading, he became too much for a single Avenger. Even Thor couldn't defeat him alone. But with the help of Iron Man and Vision, the three of them managed to apprehend the villain. Number 9. HELMUT ZEMO. Although ZEMO is portrayed as a villain in the movie, he's actually just a guy enraged and seeking revenge for when the Avengers managed to tore a building down during their battle with Ultron in Sokovia, where sadly ZEMO's family was. Raged with anger and grief, he has only vengeance on his mind, and he plots a plan to turn Iron Man and Captain America against each other. He wants them to destroy each other, and with that, destroy the Avengers so they can pay for killing his family in the careless attack. This is definitely a new way of showing the consequences these superheroes leave behind. Crushed buildings and dozens of deaths are just a part of the things they leave behind, and ZEMO truly shows what it's like to be driven by emotion. Number 8. MONGER. This villain definitely defined the entire term of villain. Although Iron Man has battled many powerful people in the MCU, when it comes to Monger, it was for sure one of the most dangerous creations he ever came face to face with. Created by Obadiah Stane, who was once Tony Stark's business partner but became jealous of him and had the idea to create a monster to kill him so he can take over Stark Industries. His plan was almost successful, but his suit, however, wasn't as advanced as Iron Man's armor. Given all the villains we've ever met throughout the movies, this one definitely stands out from the rest with all the power and strength a villain should have. It presents a huge threat to Iron Man, but fortunately Iron Man was strong enough to overpower him. Number 7. Red Skull. Red Skull was definitely the most cartoon-like villain in the movies, and the fact that Hugo Weaving's performance was so perfectly made, this villain goes on our top 10 list. He was pure evil, no doubt about that, but to add more to the evil, he was a Nazi. But he turned his back on the Nazis to pursue his mission of taking over the world for himself. He might not have fancy powers, but when it comes to the good old fist fighting, there's no one better. It's quite a shame that Hugo didn't seem to enjoy his time in the MCU, because we would love to see him reprise his role once again, as the Red Skull. Given his terrifying performance, that was like nothing we have ever seen before. Number 6. Ego. When we were first introduced to Ego, played by Kurt Russell, we saw this really likable guy, and when we realized it was Peter Quill's dad, it made us build an emotional connection with him. So when time came for him to be the villain, we honestly weren't prepared and it was a bit difficult to take it all in. His ultimate goal was to spread seeds all over other worlds so that he could become the only life form in the universe. His powers were off the charts, and the fact that he could only be killed through the core of his world didn't help either. At the end, it was Star-Lord's use of his power that was able to stop him from making his dark plans come to life. Number 5. Vulture. Michael Keaton's portrayal of Adrian Toomes, or Vulture, definitely earns the 5th spot on this list. Not only is this villain perfect in any way, it also comes with a personal vendetta to why he's after the heroes, and it didn't help when Spider-Man found out he's the father of his crush, Liz. One of the most iconic scenes is when Adrian and Peter have the talk in the car. The reason this villain is after revenge is because of his company that was in charge of cleaning up damage made by the superheroes, but the federal government caused the company to fold, and Adrian is thirsty for revenge. It's one of the most outstanding performances as a villain, and one that has a backstory on why he does what he does. Number 4. HELA. When we think about one of the most powerful villains in the entire MCU, HELA crosses our minds multiple times.
It's come to my attention that you don't know who I am.
Thor's long-lost sister has incredible powers and fighting abilities that she was able to push Thor to his limits and dominate him in their big fight. She was quick, powerful, while also proving that she can be a great leader. The Oscar-winning actress Cate Blanchett totally nailed this performance and put in all the efforts, and we can see all that in the actual movie. It's quite the shame that HELA couldn't cross paths with some of the other MCU heroes. We would have loved to see that happen. She's an unbelievably powerful force that truly gives her an edge and makes her one of the greatest villains that MCU has ever seen. Number 3. KILLMONGER. He presents one of the few villains that actually fights for a cause that is quite reasonable. He's not just a pure evil villain against the heroes, and his rage over his father's death is truly understandable. Unlike other villains, KILLMONGER was quite successful, and each time he had a fight with Black Panther, he managed to win. He has incredible fighting skills combined with being tough and really quick to react. When it comes to fighting, without a doubt he's one of the best in the MCU. Also, the character is portrayed by Michael B. Jordan, and his extraordinary talent and devotion that makes this character even better. Number 2. LOKI. The ultimate MCU villain title definitely goes to Loki. Even though he oftentimes relies on others doing the fighting for him, the villain turned into hero can actually be a great fighter. Although he only shows off his skills when he's helping his brother or other heroes, he can truly prove to anyone that he can cause as much damage as he desires on anyone. The anti-hero is petty and jealous and has overall been a pretty terrible guy, but sometimes he's been caught doing the right thing. In Thor, he has tried to kill his brother several times, and he even faked his own death and pretended to be Odin.
Father?
Ocean.
Aside, brother.
All right, I yield!
As we said, he's done pretty terrible things, but Tom Hiddleston's performance makes us love this villain no matter how evil he actually is.
I have been falling for 30 minutes!
Being one of the most interesting antagonists in Marvel, he even managed to score his own series named Loki on Disney+. Number 1. Thanos. At the top of the list, we have Thanos, which is definitely the baddest villain in the entire MCU. If you have doubts about it, just think about how he killed half the universe. He's the ultimate villain in the MCU due to his pure power and fighting skills that set him apart from others. He was an actual real threat not only to the Avengers, but to the entire universe. With the Infinity Stones, Thanos is unstoppable. But even without them, he's an excellent fighter and truly knows how to handle the ability to work with multiple powers at once. This all combined makes him tough to predict, which is why it takes so many heroes to work together in order to take him down for good. On a related note, we wanted to know which villain from MCU do you think deserves the first place? Let us know in the comment section below. If you'd like to see more amazing videos such as this one, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of them. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.